if you close your eyes.
X-Men. So X-Men, as I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with by now, is a world full of mutants that people for some reason absolutely hate to death. Normal people think that they are a threat to society, that they're dangerous, that they could be very harmful to our children and all that kind of shit. So the government is trying to pass a bill that exposes every single mutant and pretty much causing harm to all mutants. So in response to this, Magneto here is trying to stop that bill from ever being passed. He wants to make his problem their problem by making every single government official there a mutant, as a great man once said.
Not a great plan.
So, while Magneto is trying to do this, the X-Men are going to try and stop them. And in the end, in terms of the story, I think it was pretty solid. It's a solid story. It's nothing revolutionary, it's nothing amazing. A bit basic, a bit expected when it comes to Marvel and X-Men, but it's not bad. It's certainly not a waste of your time. But in terms of a review of this movie, I think I can pretty much base this entire review on the characters. The characters alone pretty much tell you how good this movie is going to be, especially for me, okay? So first off, you've got the main three here. You've got Charles Xavier, Magneto, and Wolverine. These three here truly make it worth your time. Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart are just fantastic. They always have been and always will be. And they just never falter when it comes to roles like this. But particularly Ian McKellen, mainly because I really loved Magneto in this movie, because I really liked his motive, especially at the start of the movie when you see a little bit of backstory, when he was a Holocaust survivor. It really brings purpose and motive to his character, and I kind of appreciated that. And Hugh Jackman as Wolverine as well. I mean, he absolutely kicks ass. In terms of his story purpose, his acting, and especially his action, it is really kick-ass. But then you get into the supporting cast. So first off, you look at the X-Men and you've got Jean Grey, Cyclops, and Storm. I mean, in terms of the plot and advancing it and their story purpose and characters, they're okay. They're not terrible. I mean, they serve their purpose, but oh my god, it's the action. The action purpose is absolutely terrible. Seriously, Jean Grey's action purposes throughout this entire movie, she is there pretty much at the final battle of the movie, and all she does is just hover things for a little bit. That's the only thing she does. Cyclops just shoots things with his laser, and talk about a boring ass power. But then you've got Storm, played by Halle Berry, and if I'm being truly honest, guys, I really don't like her. Seriously, in terms of a story purpose, she doesn't really have anything going for her. She just kind of feels like she's tagging along for the ride. In terms of an action purpose, it's not really anything overwhelming or spectacular, and in the end it was actually kind of boring. But oh my god, it's that quote. It's that badass, intimidating quote that she says that really, really makes me uncomfortable. If I could remember this movie for literally any moment, unfortunately it's that one. And you guys know what I'm talking about.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
Just think about that quote for a second, okay? What happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else. Really? You really couldn't think of anything more intimidating? How on earth did a writer write that line in there, look at it on paper and go, that's cool? No, that just means you need help, pal, okay? But to be fair, it's not a total blame on the writers. Halle Berry didn't deliver it exactly perfectly, but then again, she doesn't really deliver any line perfectly because of her fucking dodgy African accent. So in general, the X-Men have story purposes, but no action purpose. But then you flip over to the other side of the coin, and you've got Sabretooth, Toad, and Mystique. And to be honest, Mystique is pretty badass. She delivers her purpose in terms of advancing the plot. I don't think she did anything wrong about that. But like I said, there's not really any story to her, so in the end, she just turns out to be okay for me. But man, talk about the other two. You've got Sabretooth, for example. I mean, talk about a discount Wolverine if ever I saw one. He's just there just to occasionally fuck up to advance the plot, or just to have some action moments, which in the end just equip to early 2000s bad action, okay? You know that kind of action, right? You know, where they throw somebody and then they just go back for a lot longer than you think. It almost looks like slow motion, but time doesn't seem to be slow. It just kind of looks slow. You know what I mean? It just doesn't look right. It's nothing overwhelming in terms of the action. It's a bit bread and butter, really. And then you've also got Toad. My fucking god, what is this guy? Talk about a guy who just looks absolutely wrong in every single aspect. Whenever he uses his tongue, whenever he just seems to stand there and look at people and just in general walks around and jumps around, and the sound effects. I mean, he's got no purpose whatsoever other than action, like Sabretooth, but I mean, he's just wrong. But I mean, the CGI just did him absolutely no favors, okay? And that's pretty much the overall summary of this movie. You can really just depict what this movie is like just based on its characters. Like I said, there are 3 people in here to make it worth your while. There are some people in here who are just in here to try and entertain you, but it doesn't always work. And there are also some people in here to drag the story along. To me, it's a little bit of a mess, but it is still enjoyable for what it is. Would I watch this movie again? I think that's the point. I don't know if I would watch it again. I think it's one of those movies where if I'm looking through the channels on a Saturday night and there's literally fuck all except this movie, I would be like, yeah, okay, I'll watch this movie again. And I think that in the end is where I'm going to be putting this movie. I'm going to be putting it in the maybe pile. Man, I have not put anything in there in a while. About time, right? But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed your time here, and don't worry, there'll be more videos in the future, I guarantee it. And I'll be seeing you in the future.